Hello everyone. The great tea and coffee debate and whether it's okay for a manager to ask their team members to make them tea and coffee. Thank you to everyone who participated in my little discussion about this on Facebook. It raised loads of really interesting comments. And I've seen the same issue discussed in an HR forum that I belong to, and it raised a similar level of interest there and a whole wide variety of views. So I thought I would just cover it because actually it's pretty key. Those of you who know me know that my business is all about looking after employees, making the workplace a happier place because that benefits the employer. And this is one of those seemingly unimportant small things which can make a huge difference to how happy or otherwise people are at work. So, should bosses require people in their team to make tea for them or coffee? And of course the answer is no, not that they shouldn't require it. The vast majority of people in all of the discussions I've seen about this felt that it depended on the relationship, and as long as the boss was prepared to make tea for the team sometimes, then they couldn't see anything wrong with it. And I think in general terms that is fairly fair. Most of us don't mind making tea and coffee for somebody if they make it for us. The difficulty comes, in a culture where it's expected that the most junior or the most docile, or even worse, the fact that somebody is a woman requires them to be the one that makes the tea all the time is totally and utterly wrong. It isn't part of anybody's job description unless perhaps they work in a cafeteria or something, but it really shouldn't be part of another job. It shouldn't be something that is required as part of the daily job. And it's old-fashioned and elitist, as somebody said, to expect others to make tea and coffee. There was an element of discussion around the fact that if the boss is in back-to-back meetings and is really busy, or alternatively because the boss is paid more usually than the staff in the team, then it's okay that they have their tea and coffee made for them. And I don't subscribe to that, I'm afraid. I think that just because somebody is paid more than somebody else or is perceived to be more busy than somebody else, that does not define their value to the organisation. Lots of managers are fairly easily replaced, whereas lots of other jobs are not so easily replaced. So I would suggest that just because somebody's a boss and is paid more doesn't make them more valuable to any organisation. Another issue is that lots of people don't drink tea and coffee, so it's really unfair to expect them to be making it for other people. And I myself have been in a situation where I actually drink less tea and coffee than other people, and I objected to having to make it all the time for other people. So I just stopped doing that and only made it for myself when I wanted one. But my concern was always that people would think that I was being standoffish in some way or selfish, and they think, well, she never makes tea and coffee for anyone. And that's true, I didn't, but it's mostly just because I didn't feel the need of a drink when they clearly did. Another big issue for me is that managers are really missing a trick if they don't go to the kitchenette or tea, coffee making facilities, wherever they are, and have those informal conversations with people. It's a great place for finding out about what's going on in people's lives that might be affecting their work, or who's getting on with who, or whether there's a problem in the workplace that you didn't know about but you need to know about. It's also a great place where you can be more human to people. Instead of being the boss, you're just a colleague making a cup of tea or coffee. Dunking your biscuit in your tea, throwing your tea bag in the bin and missing and hitting it on the floor. All those kinds of things. It's just a great leveler, and that is invaluable, really, as a manager. It's a great way of kind of building a relationship with your team. Another issue for me is people said, is it really important? And I think it's actually critically important, because, as I said at the beginning, it really can upset people, and it's the kind of thing that makes people very unhappy at work if we get it wrong. There's not an exact answer, it's not an exact science, and a lot of it is playing it by ear and doing what works for you. And as I said at the beginning, most people make it work for themselves and nobody really raises too much of an issue over it. But it's something to keep an eye on as a manager, to make sure that people aren't struggling with it, aren't being put upon, aren't feeling left out, aren't resenting the fact that they're expected to make it, all of those things. So, it's one to think about. Maybe it's not an important issue, but it is an important issue. So have a think about how it works in your workplace, and I'd be interested to see any further comments on it. Thanks everyone. Bye.